I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is For the Talkers. Hello, talkers, and happy Thursday. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is For the Talkers, where we learn and we laugh while we're doing it. And today's episode, we are learning a ton. And honestly, I feel like this is a great episode to kind of jumpstart some learning. I'm feeling inspired and excited to learn more. So, we're talking all about periods today. We're learning more about our cycles as menstruators, and the audience had a few questions as well that we touch on. And really, I loved this conversation. I feel like periods are not talked about enough, and they're not talked about necessarily in the right ways. And another thing that I really just was feeling editing and listening and doing this episode, need to take control back. I feel like women have not been given, I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it, but like, for example, period apps and period products being made by men, right? It's not working for me. So today I got the absolute honor of interviewing Anna. And Anna and Alex created the Agenda Period Tracker. It's an app on your phone, and it's a brand as well. And they have stunning, amazing resources. I immediately downloaded the app. I've loved it so far. And there are like unlimited resources in there to learn more about our periods and our cycles and our hormones and everything. And I just feel like this is such valuable information today that we're learning about. So I'm not going to yap too much about it because Anna does a great job at answering your guys' questions and then kind of talking about confidence within our periods as well. So, really, Anna was insightful, had just some phenomenal vibes. She was funny, she was so kind, she was sick, but we had already rescheduled once, so she was awesome and still recorded with me. So, please, if you are a menstruator, go download the Agenda period tracker. It's amazing, and as women, let's get together on deciding to take back control, like to keep track of our bodies. And one thing that was so important that came up in our discussion today was um, common, not normal. And I felt like that was so huge. And I feel like we have a great opportunity to learn and change how we treat our bodies and how we feel about our bodies. And I think this is a great step to do that. And Anna had a lot to bring to the conversation about confidence. So join me in welcoming her. All right. Hello, Anna. Half of the period agenda team, should we say?
Yes, I am one half of the agenda period.
Yes, I love it. Awesome. I'm so excited to have you on today, and I know everyone listening is too. We've got some great questions to kind of pick your brain with today.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to start with my happy, funny, sads. And they're
Okay.
all kind of simple, a little bit silly, so it should be perfect. My happy this week is Hidden Valley's ranch like seasoning. I don't like their ranch. Okay, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
But they have like, you can get like the packets and you
Uh-huh.
mix it in with sour cream, whatever. Well, they have like a large thing of that at Costco, and it's just been like my saving grace this week. Like, everything sounds disgusting. I'm like, I'll just put ranch seasoning on it and it's delicious.
The ranch makes everything better.
Yeah, so that's definitely been my happy this week. Kind of silly. And then my funny is I was over at my grandpa's house and we were helping him with some computer stuff. And the wallpaper of his desktop computer was like a squirrel,
Hmm.
just like randomly. And I was like, oh, like that's an interesting background. He's like, oh, it's so cute. And it's like not a cute picture. And I just like couldn't stop laughing because I'm like, I'm so curious, like what was going through his head when he's like, I've got to have that as my wallpaper. Like, if you know him, like that's so random. There's so many other things that I'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and he did it himself. He like set up the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of thinking it was like one of the options, you can kind of like scroll through and there's like a few like presets. So I wonder if it was one of those. Yep,
Yeah.
he had it all set up. So I was
Okay.
just
Okay.
giggling at that. Okay, and then my son, I have a cat and we haven't had her we've almost had her for a year. But we got her from we she was in like a foster kind of situation for cats, whatever. And she just has quite a traumatic past and she just can't handle like strangers and visitors. Like she just freaks out. She's so anxious. She just runs away and she just hides. But this week specifically, it was making me really sad because her like recovery time once the people did leave
Mm,
was like way longer. She's just this anxious little ball. And even today, I'm like, girl.
it's
So like I need to
okay.
like get her some extra treats or something.
What's her
So that
name?
was my sad Murphy.
Murphy. Well, that's cute. I like girls with boy
Cute.
names.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I love her and I am just sad that she is so sad. And I want people to be able to see her because I'm like, I love her. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So those were mine. I'd love to hear
Okay.
some moments from your week or month
Well,
or literally any time
no.
period.
One of my hobbies is actually cat related. It's so funny. I just recently, in my old age, found out that I'm very allergic to cats. And
Oh,
my mom has a cat that she let the grandkids name, and they named her Donut. And when we come to my mom's house, she was a foster cat too, so she stays away from
yeah.
everybody, and she
Yeah.
only goes near my daughter. They're like kindred spirits. And
Interesting.
yes, I'm getting ready to say goodbye to my mom after Thanksgiving, and she comes out and perches right up next to me. And it was like the biggest compliment because she doesn't go near anybody but my mom
Yeah.
and my daughter. And of course, my throat starts to close up and all of that. But it just made me so happy that she wanted to be close to me. It was a
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah, it's like a bittersweet where it's like, I
It
want you
was.
here, but also step
But
away.
don't kill me, cat. Yes, yes. So
I
that's
love
my
it.
happy. My funny is kind of weird. I had to Google it, and apparently it's a thing. I'm
Okay.
watching TV and I'm seeing this bug, and I was like, they recorded this movie with a bug. Like they never got the bug off the. And I go up to my TV screen, and I've got a bug in my TV screen. And he's just moving around for days and days and days. And finally, the bug dies, and it's in the middle of the screen. I'm like tapping, he won't fall down. I had to Google it, and like before I could even, it does the predictive whatever, and it's like, how do I get a bug from yeah,
Yeah.
there's like yes, so we literally have a dead bug in our TV.
So what did you find? Like, what do you even do?
It says you have to wait for it to dry out, and if you tap it, then it'll fall. So apparently it hasn't dried out yet. So everybody has
Wow.
like a beauty mark on their face on our TV.
That is funny. I don't know if I've ever heard
Yeah, me
anyone
neither.
having that before.
Like, and I don't know how it lived as long as it did. Like, what was it
Yeah.
eating? Like, why did you want to be in my TV screen? I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm imagining that was a pretty tricky endeavor to like get into the TV.
Yes, and it's there, and I can't figure out what type of bug it is. It looks like a scorpion, but it's tiny. Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's my
That's crazy.
funny
Well,
for the
best of luck.
week. Thank you. And my sad is pretty period related. I have a family member who's in her like late 50s, and she was just admitted to the hospital with blood clots in her lungs because her doctor put her on birth control to help her menopause symptoms. She's single, she's not dating, like she's not sexually active. Like, why are we putting her on birth control for her menopause symptoms? And now she's got blood clots and is like hospitalized over Thanksgiving. So it angers me and it saddens me for her. So that's my sad.
Yeah, yeah. How long, like, from when she was like started the medication to like her hospitalization?
You know what? I don't truly know the answer to
Yeah.
that, but
I'm
I
just
mean,
curious because like that's crazy. Like,
it's scary. And to me,
yeah.
it's like it's not informed consent. Like, let me
No,
know that these hot flashes are one thing, but I could end up with blood clots in my lungs. So let me just figure out my hot flashes and not risk blood clots that
right,
are going to
right.
hospitalize me. So She's like fired her gynecologist and is gonna, seek better care afterwards. But it was just so sad that her holidays are still being spent in the hospital because
Right.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow,
yeah,
that is really sad.
yeah.
Sending just good healing vibes,
Thank you.
and hopefully she's able to find like a actually good way to handle the things that she's
Yeah, I've got everything
experiencing.
she needs. I don't know why she didn't hit me up first, but she and I will talk once she gets out of
Yep.
the hospital.
Yep. You're like, I've got you now.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, obviously, today we're talking all about periods, and I'm so excited. When I was building up this season of confidence, I was like, hey, I want to have someone that can talk about periods. Like, I already was thinking that. And then when I found your guys' platform, I'm like, perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Literally couldn't have
Yes.
made the more perfect people. Like, you guys are so educated, so funny, so interactive, and I love, the message that you're spreading and like all the work that you're doing.
Thank
So
you.
important as a woman who still struggles with period everything. Like, it's very appreciated.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad
So
you found us.
yeah, yeah. So I want to start with kind of your maybe favorite fact or favorite, little topic or anything that you've learned about periods as you've kind of embarked on this journey.
One thing that I never knew or understood was that, we have like a 28-day-ish hormonal cycle. We women, menstruators and the moon are like every 28 days. And men, it's every 24 hours. So they cycle the same way we do, but it's every day. So their testosterone's like at the highest early in the morning. They kind of wake up ready for action or ready to go to, oh, sorry, no pun intended. That was
Okay,
hilarious.
how did you even do that? Because
I don't
that
even
timing,
know. Impeccable timing
yeah.
with the fireworks.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh. If you're watching, yes. If you're listening, yes, fireworks just went off as I
yes,
said that. I did something with my hands. I don't know. But yes,
amazing.
gym in the morning, they can get up every day and do the same thing at the same time. Cycles that society has kind of fallen into, like when happy hour is based on men's hormonal cycle because they get another little peak in their testosterone in the evening, and
Oh
that's
my
when happy
goodness.
hour is. Yes. And then around 8, 9 o'clock, it drops, and that's when they get home or they're not trying to have any type of conversation with you. They're like hiding out in the bathroom. It's because that's like their PMS time. And that was like the biggest eye-opening thing to me was that they're doing this every single day and we are trying to fit into a 24-hour cycle when we're a 28-day cycle. And
Right.
that's why things look easier for them than it does for us, but we just didn't know that. So
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I definitely, seen that somewhere before. I'm like, "Oh, cool." I didn't, that's so interesting how deep that truly runs. That
yeah.
and I love it. Yeah, just like that's getting my wheels turning,
Yeah.
of like with the right resources, the same things can be accomplished, but that makes so much sense that when
Definitely. And all these
it's
like
catered.
yes, these self-help book comes out and they're written by men and they're well-meaning men and they're like get up each day and
Yeah.
grind it out and write your affirmations and do and it's like I can do that in my ovulation week. I like yes, I can grind it out and everything feels great, but then like 2 weeks later I'm like no, I really want to sleep in and I'm colder and I'm less motivated and I must suck at life and I just, and we just kind of fall
Yeah.
off of our goals and we beat ourselves up when we just kind of need to tweak a couple little things and we're good. So
Yeah,
that's
interesting.
my
Well,
favorite.
yeah, I was gonna say that's an amazing fun fact. I love that. So I want to ask you a couple questions from our audience
Okay.
first. And the first one being, when do abnormalities in our periods, like length or how heavy they are or anything like that, when do those changes kind of become something that maybe we should be worrying about?
Oh, I love this question because our app lets you track all of your symptoms. So every day we just encourage our users to do a little daily check in. Any good relationship, one with yourself, one with others, you're checking in every day, right? So you're checking in. And once you start, after probably 3 cycles of seeing this same thing pop up, if you're getting like hormonal acne on your chin a week before your period for 3 cycles, that's a cue that, your estrogen levels are a little off, and you can tweak it with diet, or you can tweak it with your sleep. But seeing yourself through about 3 cycles, so that's about 90 days, is time for you to either take that data to your healthcare team, or, I mean, we have tons of resources in the app that can kind of lead you to the right support, I guess, for what you're going on. So if you're changing something, see yourself through 3 cycles, but pay attention like every single day, because we're a different person every week with our hormonal cycles, but you don't know when those weeks change unless you're tracking every day.
Right, right. And that's so good to know that 3 cycles. I haven't necessarily heard that before. So that's really good to
Yeah.
know that that's
Yeah.
kind of when it's like, okay.
It's like a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been the third one in a row, and that's how I knew that I was entering perimenopause. I was like, "Huh, my periods have been coming quicker, like every 26 days instead of I was like a 28-day on the dot girl."
Yeah.
And I took it to my periodpreneurs, and they're like, "You're probably entering perimenopause. Like, you have more periods, like they're shorter." And I was like, I didn't know,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
didn't think about it until I had 3 in a row that were short, and that kinda let me know that something was kinda changing.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Great to know. The next question was, how do diva cups work if you're someone who has a really heavy period?
Okay, so I when the cup came out, I was not when it came out. When I discovered the cup,
Yeah.
I felt like I had made it to the motherland. I thought this was the most amazing thing to happen, but now I found discs, and now I'm a disc girl. So the question is about cups. I typically pair my cup or my disc with period underwear instead of a pad, and that catches anything that drops. But I have no problem with pulling that thing out and rinsing it out in the middle of the day and plopping it back in. I usually don't have to because my flow isn't that heavy. But typically, if you're overflowing a Diva cup, that is another indication that you probably need to go in and get it checked. Because if it's normal, if it's common for you, that doesn't mean it's normal.
Mm,
So make sure that it's in there right, because if it's leaking, that doesn't necessarily mean it's overflowing. So I would ask your listener, is it all the way up to the top when you're taking it out, which is kind of
right.
hard to tell, but to actually measure how much is in that cup before determining whether or not you're actually overflowing a cup. Because that's a heavy, heavy flow. And then we've got to worry about iron levels and things like that. And that's definitely something to take to your medical practitioner.
Yeah, yeah. We'll circle back to the
Okay.
common, not normal, because I definitely want to touch on that. But that's great to know. And yes, cups are so tricky because it's like it's hard to really
Yes.
keep an eye
Like you
on
get you
things.
get carpal tunnel. Like, it's like, how do you get that thing up in there? And then you have to turn it. And now that I found the
Yeah.
disc, y'all, like, if you want to join, if the learning curve on the disc takes a while, and the leak, it's sometimes it's not worth it. I've had people call and say, my boyfriend had to go up in there and get that thing out of me. Like, I couldn't get it out. But now the disc, it just kind of folds in half, and it's the size of a tampon, and it just sits right in there. And when you go to the bathroom, you kind of bear down a little, like you kind of have to take a small poo, and it empties out and stays in place. So
Wow.
if you're a super heavy bleeder, disc, disc, disc. It's super easy to put in. It's just like, seriously, you fold it in half, push it behind your pelvic bone, and it's there. There's no
Wow.
twisting, there's no
Yeah.
seal that needs, I mean, it sets itself.
How
And
often do you have to change it then?
12 hours. Yeah,
Okay.
every 12 hours. And Flex makes a disposable one that you can throw out each time, or they have a reusable one, and we're obsessed with them. They're in our app. You can shop for them. They're in Target. They're everywhere. But
Yeah.
yes, you can't
Awesome.
feel it. And for the cups in the disc, girls, if you're curious about them, the way that they push against your vaginal wall, it kind of lessens your cramps too. So
Mm.
there's like that added benefit if you're looking for an alternative to pads or tampons.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, great information.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people are able to kind of look more into that. I think it's so
Yeah.
great to look into options and not just do
We've got
one thing.
options. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, the last question, and which I'm super excited to know the answer to as well, is should you, and if so, how do you kind of align your eating with your cycle when you're on your period, etc.?
Oh, I love that. Yes. You should be moving, eating, planning differently with each phase of your cycle. And it's so funny. I made this little sticker. That's how Alex, the CEO of the agenda, found me. Was my husband was always trying to have these conversations with me during my luteal phase. And I'm like, dude, I'm luteal. Like, I can't with you. And he's like, I don't know what that means. You tell me this every month. I don't know what it's like. Should I make like a sticky note for the mirror? And he's
Yeah.
like, yes. And so, of course, I had to go on Canva and make it cute. And so it's a little window cling and it lets you know how to move, how to eat, all the things that you need. And there's a little arrow and I move it around and he can see it while he's brushing his teeth to know
Wow.
when to call me pretty and bring me chocolate. And yes, on there, we talk about seed cycling, getting certain seeds into your diet during certain parts of your cycle helps support the hormone fluctuations from going up and down. There's certain times that you need more leafy greens, certain times that you need to be staying away from caffeine and alcohol, or just knowing if you're having caffeine and alcohol, you're going to probably experience more headaches or more cramping. For those that partake in like THC, getting extra magnesium in your system is really, really important because THC leaches magnesium. And we know magnesium is good to alleviate cramps and it helps with your sleep. So, yes, your diet plays such a major role. And that's one thing that our health practitioners don't ask. Like, you go in there and you're having severe cramps, but yeah, you're like popping gummies or you're smoking all the weed. And it's like, she just needs a magnesium cream. That's it. She doesn't need birth
Mm,
control.
yeah.
So, yes, your diet, your supplements. Yes, we have a little guide that teaches you what to eat during each phase. And it's so, so helpful that, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I hardly have any symptoms leading up to my period anymore
Wow.
because I've optimized those hormone fluctuations with just like my food and my movement and my sleep. It's
Wow.
amazing. Don't
Yeah.
need, yeah,
That's so cool. Well, like
yeah.
you're saying, like, why do we go right to treatment? Like, okay, let's just like fix that instead of, okay,
Girl,
here's maybe why that's
yes, and they don't do that for men. Like if my
no.
husband went in and was like, "I'm feeling moody and I've got acne on my," they wouldn't be like, "Okay, we're going to chemically castrate you."
Yeah,
Right? They would never. There's like there's like men's
literally.
testosterone clinics like all over the area that I live in. We don't have estrogen clinics anywhere because
Yeah.
yeah, they recognize how powerful testosterone is in the health of a man, but they don't look at us the same way. And so that's why we are just so passionate about empowering. Like, you should know what's going on because that's what the birth control pill does. That's what chemical birth control does, is like it chemically stops all of this hormonal fluctuation. And they don't do that for men. They would never do that for men.
Yeah.
Whew.
I yeah, it's just like when you lay it out so simply and when you really talk about it, it's kind of crazy that this has been the option and the
Yes.
go-to for just
And we've been so excited for it
yeah.
too. They tricked us into thinking that this was such a great idea for us.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy, crazy. So,
It is.
like I said, I want to kind of go back to what you were saying about common, not normal.
Yeah.
I grew up in a way of like, well, periods are hard. Periods are hard. You bleed, you're gonna have cramps, and that's what a period is, right? And
Yeah.
so I've never really, because I'm very regular, I'm very, like I have a lot of things, so there's nothing that's like super crazy, but
Mhm.
I'm like miserable. But
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's what a period is. So, and I'm definitely working to kind of look into that and change that. But I want to know like your thoughts on that and how do we know? How do we know what's okay and what's not, essentially?
Yeah. Yeah, I love this because that's all we were taught. Like, it's going to come, it's going to suck. Eve ate an apple, so this is our punishment. And then yeah, then you're going to get hot flashes and grow a beard and then it'll be gone. Like, that was it. That was it.
Literally.
And we
Seriously.
weren't taught about like the cyclical superpowers, and that one week we're like our brain is connected to our menstrual health. knowing that your brain is like super charged to create and to absorb information and to be super analytical during this week and to be task masters at another week. Like each week, our brain shifts gears to make us like the most efficient machine on the planet. And we're not taught to pay attention to this. So we're just like waiting for our period. Most period apps are like, your period's coming or you
Yep.
can make a baby. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like that's it. And not like, hey, this is the perfect time to take that art class you've been wondering about. This is the great time to pitch that new idea or to ask for that raise. This is the time to stay away from the people that get on your nerves. Like
Yeah.
this is, yeah, there's like, we are this feat of engineering that we were created not to suffer through this, but to tap into it. And so knowing that cramps, heavy cramps that are debilitating, are a sign that something's off. Acne is a sign that something is off. Mood swings, something is off. This is not something that we should just say, it's my period.
Right.
No, no, men would never, they would never.
Remind yourselves, a man wouldn't put up with this. So
Yes. They won't. They won't even do the male birth control study. Like they've opted out like within 2 weeks. There's like a male hormonal birth control pill study that they keep trying to do, but the men don't like the side effects. So they won't even go through the study.
crazy.
And
You don't want
yes,
like a
a headache and
200
bloating and yeah.
page essay of all the symptoms you're gonna feel.
Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong with you guys? No, like headaches the week before your period, like these are all signs that something is off. Our bodies are made in such a way, if you've got a fully functioning reproductive system to make a child, like there's no way that whoever you believe created human beings would make this horrific thing that we have to experience every month.
Mm,
It's anytime that there's pain in your body, it's a signal. It's never like, this is just like if
it's
you're,
how I'm meant to be.
yes, imagine if you had sharp pain in your tooth once a month. You'd go to the dentist and find out what was going on, or if your eye was throbbing once a month.
Yeah.
They're signals, and your uterus is no different. Your ovaries are no different. They're all signs that something needs to, you need to pay attention to it. Not signs that you've got, something horrifically wrong, but certain changes can be made to alleviate those. And that's it.
Yeah. So talking about those changes, I know kind of how you were saying earlier, a lot of people who do have a- any really kind of issue with their period, it's like, oh, take birth control or you can have an IUD. So,
Yeah.
do you have any recommendations or like what's a maybe more realistic way to go about those changes and like understanding what is going on?
I love that. That's a good question. I'm definitely tracking. Once you track yourself through 3 cycles and you're noticing every time, every 28th day of my cycle or 24th day of my cycle, I'm experiencing this. Then, that's as easy as a Google search.
Yeah, that's
On,
true.
on day 24, I'm experiencing this. Dr. Google will tell you that
Yeah.
means your progesterone is this and your testosterone is that and your estrogen. Then you can take that into your care team saying, you know what, the second part of my luteal phase, I'm experiencing X, Y, and Z. Can we get my progesterone tested during this time? And a lot of us don't know that when we go in to get lab work, there's a time during the month that we should be getting our lab work done. Like day 21 and day 22 is the best time to get a lot of certain, like your thyroid labs run and your estrogen, your hormones run because of where they are in your cycle. So if your doctor's ordering labs for whatever, make sure that you're getting them during that time of the month. And if it's estrogen, it needs to be throughout the entire day, not just a blood draw. Yeah, there's just so many things that we aren't really, they don't break it down for us. And becoming your own cycle scientist is so important because a lot of doctors, they maybe spend a day learning this in med school and then they're off. And so it's hard to blame them when, yeah, it's us that's having to deal with it. So
Yeah.
common, not normal is, yeah, is what I like to say a lot. Like, yeah, just
Yeah.
because your mama went through it and your granny went through it doesn't mean that it's something that you should have to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I like kind of what you said at the beginning of like checking in with yourself, like it's our almost responsibility to understand and know ourselves. And I like
Yeah.
that, like not placing all the blame on the
Yes.
providers, right? Like obviously, yes, wish things could be better, but as we've talked about, it's kind of just the way things are set up,
Hmm.
and there's not really anything one person can do, but for yourself. I love how you said that, be
Yes.
your own scientist. As you
Yes,
were
you're a psycho scientist. Yes.
yeah.
And you can go in and say, I'm getting 9 hours of sleep. My water intake is this. I'm making sure I'm getting leafy greens during my luteal phase. You can go in and say, I'm doing all of these things. And I'm still experiencing breast tenderness to where I don't even want to wear a bra. And what could that mean? And let your doctor say, you know what, I need to look into that,
Yeah.
and let them know the things that you've tried, because they're not going to ask you how much you're sleeping. They're not going to ask you if you've cut out caffeine or dairy. They're not going to ask you those things. So knowing that these things are helpful will let you go in with all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, just with everything you're saying, I really feel like getting educated is kind of
Yes.
the key. Like you have to know
Yes.
what your phases are. You have to know what your own body is going through to be able to then
Exactly, because we don't know what
find a
we don't
solution.
know. They gave us that little lame class in middle school and gave us some like tampons and told us don't talk to the boys and sent us back to class, and that was it. Like they didn't tell us any of this stuff.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
to no
we
one's fault. Yeah, like this
no,
isn't
they just
innate
yeah.
knowledge. So amazing. Well, all of this has been so, so perfect. Really great information. I made my little account on the agenda the other day, so I gotta
Yeah.
get all my information in there. But so far, I've loved it. There's, like you're saying, like amazing information in there. So I'll definitely be checking that out, and everyone listening should too, because we all need to be tracking. So
Yes,
important. I'm trying to
track.
tell my partner that.
Yes, it's a safe place too. We're not going to sell your data. We understand the climate in our country right now. People are a little skittish about putting their information in an app, but we don't sell anyone's information. So it's a safe place to have your stuff there and just learn and just soak in. We're very education and empowerment focused.
Yeah, I was gonna ask earlier, and doesn't have to be, all-time favorite, but I'm curious what your favorite part of the app is, especially compared to like other tracking,
Yeah.
purposes, ways.
I think my favorite part is that it syncs to your Google Calendar. So
Mm,
it lets you know, like when I'm planning out my family stuff and my work stuff, I know what phase I'm in because there's a little ribbon across the top. And I know like when to not schedule podcasts, when to not schedule family stuff. Like if I'm like day one, that's like first day of your heavy bleed, like I'm not going on a play date with
right.
at the jumping place. I That's my favorite part, is that it completely streamlines how I plan out my month basically. Like it'll forecast your month, it'll put it right there on your Google Calendar, and you get all the insights in the app to let you know kind of how you should be planning, and it helps me. It's like it's biohacking. It's like
Yes,
biohacking at its
yeah,
finest, because I know like late luteal is like perfect for cleaning out the pantry. Like it's going to feel fun.
yeah,
It's not rage cleaning, it's like fun cleaning, and I know it can wait till then. So that little blue
yeah,
strip lets me know that that's when we're going to do all the honeydew stuff.
yeah.
So be prepared.
Wow, that's really cool. I love that. I will definitely be utilizing that. That's so nice because I feel like a good majority of people, like, we know, well, sometimes I feel this, sometimes I feel this, but you're not necessarily tracking it, so you don't know when. The
Yes.
specific kind of, like you're saying, like the mood boost, and today the pantry will be fun. So
Yes.
I like that biohacking into
I
that.
love it. Yes, because our app is like, okay, this is what's happening and this is what to do with it. Because most apps
Right.
are kind of like, okay, now what? Like what? And
Yeah,
so
like you
we
were saying, like your period's
yeah. You
ta-da.
can make a baby. Yeah. So ours is like,
Amazing.
yeah, take that hit class or add some cardio, or now is the perfect time to lift heavy at the gym. Like our bodies are like this crazy machine, and our app really lets you know what's happening, so you kind of know how to move about the cabin, so to speak.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Talking about confidence this season with a lot of different women, I'm curious, kind of just your thoughts and feelings on confidence and how that relates to your period. And maybe if you have anything to share of like how, like you've said, you've got to this point almost symptom free,
Yeah.
how that interacts with your confidence.
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't think that you can literally be the best version of yourself without knowing yourself and knowing what's going on with your body. So I found this so late in life that it's just like it angers me that I didn't know this younger, but I've got a daughter, so like I can reparent myself through her. And the confidence that I have now, knowing that if I'm feeling certain things, I know how to fix them or how to work with them, and I wouldn't know that if I wasn't tracking. And if I didn't know that my body was supposed to be doing these things, I I had so much there was so much shame and guilt wrapped around bleeding, and like it was dirty, it was shameful, you keep it to yourself, and oh, you're PMSing, and there was never this empowerment. And now that I'm like, no, like I'm not binge eating. I'm supposed to have 89 to 289 more calories the week before my period. Like that was freedom. It was like a permission slip to give my body what it needed. And that just builds confidence, knowing that you know what your body is saying to you and how to react accordingly. So
Yeah.
you can't do that without knowing. And our app and our business, our brand is all about knowing. We want you to know.
Yeah, yeah, that is so perfect. And I love what you started by saying. You can't be the best version, the most confident version of yourself if you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
point blank. Very inspiring. I love it. I hope everyone is like, okay, I'm gonna start tracking today.
Yes, start tracking today.
Awesome. Well, beyond that, is there anything else you would share, an actionable way for people to increase their confidence around their periods?
I think that the easiest thing that you can do is start tracking. Just pay attention, know where you are on your cycle. Day one is the first day that you need a period product because you're bleeding that heavy. That's your day one. And count until you start bleeding again. And that's your cycle. That was the first time I did that, my next period was better than the one before that.
Wow.
Just because I was paying attention. I was like, okay, today's day one. And oh, today's day 28. I made it all the way to day 28. And then I thought it was going to be day 29. And then my period came. And I was like, okay, that was a full
I get it a
cycle.
little.
Got it. And
Yeah.
so knowing that your cycle is the whole thing, your menstrual phase is just one of the 4 phases of your entire cycle. So stop calling your period your cycle. That's not your cycle. The cycle is the whole thing. So that's the first easiest thing that you can do is figure out where you are in your cycle right now. So you can go back to when, if you've got it in a calendar or in an app already, go back and find out what your day one is and know what day you're on today. That's like number one.
Love
Easy,
it.
super easy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Mhm.
perfect. Well, if, people listening are like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this," will you share how and where they can get your app and any other ways that they can follow along with you and Alex and all the information and knowledge, like you were saying, that you guys
Yes.
share?
Yes, we are the Agenda Period everywhere. We're www.theagendaperiod.com. On Insta, we are the Agenda Period. On LinkedIn, we're the Agenda Period. On TikTok, we're the Agenda Period. So our app is iOS and Android. Download it. We're giving away all kinds of stuff because we're trying to get more users into our app because most period apps are made by men and they're just missing the mark on a lot of things. Download our app, start tracking. If you're a little skittish about putting your information online, which we completely understand, we have a physical planner. You can find us on Amazon there too. And then just use the app for the resources. But yeah, we're the Agenda Period. That's us.
Perfect.
And
Awesome.
yeah, any other questions, you guys message me on the gram. It'll be me or Alex. We're the A team. One of us will respond to you. We're just a small, scrappy startup that is just trying to lead this charge of reclamation. We just want everyone to reclaim their cyclical superpowers.
Absolutely. Well, you're
Yeah,
doing a phenomenal job of that. And thank you so much for your time here
awesome.
for the talkers.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. Remember to leave a rating and review, subscribe, and come back next Thursday for a new episode. And remember, you matter, and what you have to say matters.